Happy New Year. If you're listening to this, you survived the nightmare that was 2020. Congrats. I'm Dallas, and this is the first year since 2015 that my favorite movie wasn't part of a franchise. So all you pretentious cinema nerds can get off my back.
Hi, I'm Gabby, and mine wasn't either. Look at that. I think my top 4 were not. So
Wow, look at you.
suck on that.
Gabby's is wait, hold on, but Gabby's number 1 is never part of a franchise. And I'm Demi, and my number 1 is part of a franchise. I don't care.
She's like, suck a dick.
Welcome to the first episode of the new year of 2021. Happy New Year to everybody listening. Glad you guys are here with us. Today, we are going to start off our year in review, and we are going to talk about our favorite movies of 2020.
Yes, we are. But before we get into the best parts of this terrible year, last terrible year, 2020, please like and subscribe because we want our Spotify Wrapped to show more growth next year.
It's true.
And thank you all of you guys who have been listening and who helped us with that growth. It's been fantastic. We appreciate all of you.
Yes, we do. Yes,
all
we do.
15 to 30 of you.
Stop it. So, because if it's more than that, then you're not appreciating everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Dear God. What a way to start off the year. So I'm going to give you guys the rules of the game. It's going to be a little bit complicated to say it. You guys will understand it as we're doing it, but hopefully you guys can keep up with this rule that I'm about to give. So we are all going to go through our top 10 list in order, Dallas, Gabby, then me. And as we go through our top 10 list, if somebody has one of the movies higher up on their list, they are going to call skip, and we are going to wait until it is at the highest position possible to talk about the movie. Hopefully that'll save time. We'll find out today.
For example, if Gabby has Doolittle at number 10 and Demi has it at number 1, then Demi will yell skip and we will wait until we get to number 1 to discuss it.
It's true.
So let's get started, shall we? Do either of you guys have honorable mentions? Because that's typically how we start off our podcast.
I do.
I do not.
Great. Gabby, what are yours?
Okay, my honorable mentions are The Gentleman and Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga. And those are my 2 on my honorable mentions list.
Cool. So my honorable mentions are Enola Holmes, Onward, which was number 7 on my most anticipated list last year, The Gentleman, which was on my honorable mentions list last year, Da 5 Bloods, and The Half of It.
Wait, I forgot. I do have an honorable mention.
What you got?
It's Birds of Prey, which was number 6 on my most anticipated list for last year.
Dope. All right, then. Now we can jump into our top 10. Dallas, you go first. Number 10.
I am first. Number 10 is Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, which was a DC animated movie. Those have probably never been on my list before, so that was new for me. But, it was a different kind of year. A lot more streaming, a lot less theaters. Anyway, it's directed by Matt Peters and Christina Sata, and they both worked on the art department for various animated DC shows and movies, all that fun stuff, including Young Justice to me.
Nice.
It was written by Ernie Altbacker, who wrote Batman Hush, Teen Titans The Judas Contract, Justice League Dark, etc., 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 and Margaret Scott. It looks like Margaret, but with I's and H's where I don't know. Margaret Scott, she wrote Wonder Woman Bloodlines, which is the one with Silver Swan in it. And it stars Matt Ryan, Taissa Farmiga, Rosario Dawson, Rebecca Romijn, Shamar Moore, and a bunch of other people, because they really be stacking the cast of these movies. Summary is, following an unsuccessful attack on Apocalypse, the remaining members of the Justice League Dark, Teen Titans, and Suicide Squad join forces against Darkseid in one epic final battle to save Earth. So I already said, these movies have really dope casts, and this is no exception. This movie has Tony Todd as Darkseid and John Bernthal as Trigon, and those are 2 things I would never think of, but I'm so glad that the person casting this movie did. Because
I'm sorry.
What's up?
Oh, John Bernthal, that's amazing.
Right? Like, those voices, so on point. And they fight in this movie, and man.
Do you hear the yell?
The Punisher yell?
Yeah.
He does it. Trigon's a different kind of character. He doesn't really do the, but.
Damn it.
But, John Berthal's still doing his thing.
He is.
Also, one of my favorite things about it is that Lois Lane is like a super badass, like, revolution leader in this movie. Because it's kind of apocalyptic. Rebecca Romijn plays Lois Lane, and she plays her awesomely as a total badass, like Rebecca Romijn should. And it was great to see her not just be, a damsel in distress being saved by Superman. So, movie super dope, movie super dark. God, it's so dark. So many people died so horribly. But it's comic books, so, they find a way to make everything okay. But yeah, that's my number 10.
Nice.
Awesome. Gabby, what is your number 10?
My number 10 is Happiest Season.
Skip.
Okay, great.
Great. That takes us to me already, dear God. So my number 10 is Jingle Jangle, A Christmas Journey. It was directed and I believe written by David E. Talbert, and it stars Forrest Whitaker, Keegan-Michael Key, Anika Noni Rhodes, and it introduces Madeline Mills. It also features Phylicia Rashad. It is a great movie. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was a great original Christmas story. It's imaginative. I loved the mix of science and magic that the movie has. I also always love seeing Black people in spaces that we don't normally occupy in film and television. So that's automatically a yes for me. The music absolutely slaps, and the cast is incredible. I'm going to keep it really short, though, because we literally just did a review for this movie a few weeks ago. So if you guys would like to hear more of my thoughts as well as Gabby's thoughts on the film, you guys can go check out that review. That is my number 10.
All right, moving right through it.
Yeah, let's keep it moving. Let's go on to our number 9s. Dallas, what you got?
Number 9 is Onward from Pixar.
Let's talk about it, because it's not on my list. It was on the honorable mentions list, and I
Yay.
wanted to talk about it, but
Nice.
Yeah.
I was glad to be able to provide that outlet for you.
Thank
Anyway.
you. I liked that movie a lot.
Me too. Number 9 on my list. Onward is directed by Dan Scanlon, who wrote and directed Monsters University and some other stuff that I didn't write down for some reason. It was written by Scanlon, Jason Headley, and Keith Bunyan, who wrote Horns, that really weird movie with Daniel Radcliffe that came out a while ago. I didn't really care
Oh,
for
okay.
it.
Yeah. I know what movie you're talking about.
I know that movie.
Dude's got range, because that was super dark, and this is super fun. And in case anyone doesn't know, it stars Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Octavia Spencer.
Woo!
It is about two elven brothers who embark on a quest to bring their father back for a day. Man, this movie has some great casting choices.
And it hits.
It really does. Tom Holland is amazing. Chris Pratt was amazing for the role that they got him in. Octavia Spencer as the Manticore was just an inspired
Hilarious.
choice. She was my
It was
favorite
great.
part of the movie. She was fantastic.
For me, it felt like almost like a D&D kind of movie. Here's an adventure that you take these kids on, but it was still very modern, which was really cool. I like the mix of the modern with the kind of old school fantasy magic that we often see. It was a world that always had magic, but if you are innovative, what does a world with magic look like? Do you keep using magic or do you stop using it? And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about it as well, because I've seen enough wizards and elves and fantasy. But modernizing it made it a lot more refreshing. And it worked out to, be funny. But man, did it hit. It had some motion, some moments that they tried to make me shed a thug tear. They didn't get me, but
They almost
got
did.
me. They almost got me.
Has a movie ever gotten you, Dallas?
No, actually. Not
Okay.
completely.
I figured.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a few
I
that
thought.
almost got me. And this is on that list because, man, when Barley's talking about the time when he went, never mind. So, the time about his dad and the whole thing. I was like,
Sure.
yo, this is just... Wait, Gabby, did you see this movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
What?
I know, I'm
So you actually don't know what
sorry.
I'm talking about?
No, I actually don't know what you're
She
talking
has
Okay,
about.
no
Demi,
clue.
I have
Demi, you know what
no
I'm talking about.
idea.
I think I do know what you're talking about. Yeah. Also, that ending, just what a twist. Wasn't
Yeah, they
expecting that.
I did it well. Last thing I'll say is that Pixar really stayed on brand with the mom in this movie.
Okay, but did they do that in Soul?
You know what?
No, that's different. That's different.
No. I mean, they did it with another character in Soul, which is not what we expected. But we'll get to that later. Yeah, Onward. Great movie. Funny, emotional, thick Pixar mom. Everything you go to a Pixar movie for. Moving on.
Is it though?
I mean, do you think Gabby does not enjoy a nice thick mom?
I don't know.
Oh God, no! Let's not go down this road.
Okay, I just want to say that.
You brought this upon yourself. You were the
Yeah.
one agreeing with him.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Exactly. Today I was listening to our episode where Gabby talked about Florence Pugh's thighs for the first time.
No,
It was
God, let's not
amazing.
bring it up.
But yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, number 9. What's yours, Gabby?
My number 9 is Soul.
Skip.
Skip.
Yeah, I figured.
Hey.
You're
No, the-
welcome.
You know the
actually,
black
you know
people
what?
aren't going to let Soul be number 9.
It's not
Boy.
actually. You know what? It's my number 9 actually as well.
Ooh,
So
look at that.
skip.
But
Skip,
yeah.
both of you.
skip both of us. Okay, I figured.
Yeah, so that means that we're now moving on to number 8. Dallas, what's your number 8, man?
Number 8. Speaking of black movies, The Five Bloods is my number 8.
Woo, let's talk about it because I also had to put that on my honorable mentions list.
Yes, I'm just scooping up your honorable mentions and putting them on the list today.
That's fine with me because it gives me an opportunity to talk about it. One of the best movies that came out this year.
Was so good. Directed by Spike Lee, written by Spike Lee and Danny Bilson, who writes a bunch of video games, which is,
That's cool.
dope. Mm-hmm. And also Kevin Wilmot and Paul DeMeo. Kevin collaborated with Spike Lee on Chirac and Black Klansman, so they're keeping up the tradition. Yeah, I always forget how many people wrote this movie until I start reading about all the people that wrote this movie. It stars Delroy Lindo, Jonathan Majors, a.k.a. This is where my dad used to beat me, Letty.
Stop
it!
Clark Peters, Norm Lewis, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., and Chadwick Boseman as Stormin' Norman.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Chadwick.
We miss you, King.
We do. It's about 4 black veterans who battle the forces of man and nature when they return to Vietnam, seeking the remains of their fallen squad leader and the gold fortune he helped them hide. That is a in-depth summary, IMDb. Maybe you could have eased up on the plot points there.
I don't know. So, some of those plot points I wish I had known before I had gotten into this movie. I was like, oh, that's what we're doing?
Yeah, honestly, I was, okay, that kind of hit me. But, it was better for it.
I was like, I didn't know this is what we were doing, but all right.
Yeah, it was a nice experience to go in, like, not blind, but not exactly knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have an episode about this movie.
We do. I think we've had an episode about every movie that's been on these lists so far.
Except for Justice League Dark, because...
Well, I think you brought it up on a quarantine watch.
You know what? I think you're right. So yeah, you know we like it because it's great. And
well, I think only me and you reviewed it.
You said you... I mean, yeah, I think we're the only ones who've seen it. Gabby, you seen this movie?
I have not. I don't think I could handle it.
Gabby can't handle
emotionally.
This movie.
No.
Not emotionally. I would have to be held afterward, probably.
Oh yeah, this is...
But I have a feeling that Chadwick's probably going to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this.
He is, and Delroy
Not Best
Lindo is
Actor.
probably going to be nominated for Best Actor because he deserves it. He is amazing. And I mean, so is Chadwick in this movie. Delroy Lindo, though, man.
Delroy was killing it. Yeah, he
Oh
got
my
to get
goodness.
And
the award.
Chadwick will probably win, this year.
Yeah, it's great. It's not a typical war movie because it focuses a lot more on the aftermath of war and like how it affects them later, which is good because obviously it's important to show like the horrors and the dangers of war, but we've seen that so many times. From Full Metal Jacket to today, like I've seen enough of people getting
Murked.
yeah, just like destroyed. And this movie has that too because
I was going to say, to be fair, a lot of people get murked in this film as well.
they do, but I'm glad that we got as much time as we did to like watch them deal with the past, but not like while they're in the past, like seeing them older, seeing them talk, see Jonathan Majors with his daddy issues that he carried over into Lovecraft Country. But
yeah, that seems to be his the typecast that they're going for him. We'll see what happens.
What a sucky typecast to get. Oh man.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Also, in typical Spike Lee fashion, the movie gets very overt with what it needs to say, which is important. Especially, I don't know, when did this movie come out? Like August? Why do I have August in my head?
I don't know. I feel like it came out.
I thought it came out in like April.
I feel like it came
Or
out
May.
earlier than
I
that.
know, like
but-
spring or summer.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
but
it came out during the quarantine, to be fair.
It came
Exactly.
out, I think, before Chadwick passed away.
It did
yeah,
come out
I
before
remember
Chadwick
that would have
passed.
been a whole.
So
different thing.
it was definitely like probably April or May.
I'm just gonna look it up because I have a computer in my hand. It came out June 12th. So yeah, like beginning of summer. Society has not gotten better since it came out. So the messages in it, like they needed to be shown and it needed to be said in a way that it's not going to go over anybody's head. Which is why
Yeah, this is not a moment for subtlety, right?
no, it's not a movie for subtlety, but there is nuance, which is nice because like you put a MAGA hat on somebody and still make me feel for the character, then
Oh yeah,
I
that
am
was
surprised.
I was very surprised because he put that hat on, and I was like, no.
So I was like, oh, he's the one I'm supposed to hate, but no, he's not. But yeah, it's a wild one. But that's my number 8, The Five Bloods. Check it out on Netflix.
Nice. Gabby, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is The Lovebirds.
That's all you.
Anybody? Oh, yay!
I mean, I saw it,
Okay,
but it's all
so
you.
yeah, fair. Okay, so Lovebirds stars Kumail Nanjiani, Issa Rae, with appearances by Anna Camp, Paul Sparks, and Kyle Bornheimer. It's a screenplay by Aaron Abrams, Brendan Gall, and it's directed by Michael Showalter. A couple, Issa Rae and Kumail Nanjiani, experiences a defining moment in their relationship when they are unintentionally embroiled in a murder mystery. And boy, is this movie fun. It's also so like I love the romantic comedy aspect of this movie, obviously. But my favorite part is it actually reminds me a lot of the movie Game Night because they get embroiled in this like murder mystery and then they just have to like follow it till its end because they're kind of put in a position where they can't go to the police. So it's just like Game Night in that aspect and it goes off the rails just like Game Night did.
That sounds great.
It's really great. It's really fun. It's very silly. It's not quite as good as Game Night was, but it's still pretty sweet. And I love watching a couple that's like mixed race that isn't just black and white. I like that this is like a completely new couple that we're seeing on screen. It's like, representation for days.
I like that.
And I like that Kumail Nanjiani gets to be a romantic lead because I feel like he is super charming and super like handsome in like a very different way than normal. And this is like his second romantic lead, and I love it. I want to see way more of it. But more than that, it's just like a fun movie, and it goes off of like it was advertised more as a romantic comedy with like maybe a weird twist, but it's more weird twist than
Yeah, that
romantic
movie was
comedy.
wild.
Right? It was great. So that's why I love this movie. It was a lot of fun, and that's why it made it onto my list.
Yeah, that movie was wild and it was pretty funny. I love Issa Rae because I watch Insecure, so it was funny seeing her in something that's not Insecure, and I really found that enjoyable. But yeah, the movie is fun and enjoyable, and it is a wild ride. I for certain didn't see quite a number of things that happened in that movie like
Right?
happening. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
especially the ending. The ending was the best part.
The
to me.
ending, I was like, how
Like,
did we get here? Why are we?
I love it.
It was just
I was
so
like,
weird.
yes. Ugh. Anyway, it's just such a good movie. I really do recommend it. And it's on Netflix, so you don't have to go outside to watch it.
That's true.
That
Yeah,
is
it was supposed
important.
to come out in theaters, and they moved it.
And I'm glad they did because I was really looking forward to seeing it.
Wait, that never came out in
And
theaters?
No,
no, it didn't.
Oh.
Because of the COVID. I believe
we got put in quarantine right before it was supposed to actually come out.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that one
Yeah.
made it out right before.
No,
Hmm.
it was supposed to come out April 3rd, but then we were on quarantine like the month before.
Man, the
Yeah.
timing.
Yeah, it almost made it out, but that's okay because we got to see it in the comfort of our homes, and I feel like, oh, it's so good.
And it was number 3 on Gabby's most anticipated list last year.
Oh, it was. Sorry, I forgot to mention that part. It was number 3 on my most anticipated.
All right, so I guess that takes us to my list. We're on number 8, right?
We are
Great.
Yes, we are.
So my number 8 is Happiest Season.
Yay, let's talk about it.
I mean, we just did a review on it, but to recap again, it's
did.
directed by Clea Duvall, written by Clea Duvall and Mary Holland. We did not mention Mary Holland last time. She also stars in the movie. It stars Kristen Stewart, Mackenzie Davis, Mary Steenburgen, Victor Garber, Alison Brie, Mary Holland, Dan Levy, and Aubrey Plaza. This movie is absolutely hilarious. I smiled throughout the entirety of that movie because it was just so much fun. Just a fun, dysfunctional family Christmas comedy. Stars two of my favorite people, which are Kristen Stewart and Mackenzie Davis. I love watching them in just about anything. And the movie made me really take notice of Dan Levy and Aubrey Plaza.
Dude, Dan Levy is bae.
Dan Levy's
and Aubrey,
amazing.
I love Aubrey.
Aubrey Plaza, I had seen her in things before, but like I was never like, oh yeah, Aubrey Plaza, hell yeah, she was amazing. Oh my gosh. But like this movie, I was like, yeah, Aubrey Plaza's like totally cool in this movie.
I like her in this movie because she's not playing. So she normally plays kind of like a standoffish kind of goth type. Like she doesn't dress goth, but like I have goth feelings whenever I encounter her character.
I've never seen her play those.
Oh, okay. It's like April,
Hey, do me.
like in Ingrid Goes West, April from Parks and Rec. Like I just get like kind of like unapproachable vibes from her. And then this one, she just plays a person, and it's it was just a little bit shocking where I almost didn't recognize her
Yeah.
because she normally plays a little more ridiculous
To me.
characters.
Dallas, what were you saying? Yeah.
You remember her character in Legend of Korra, the twin?
I do, and I was gonna say that's like the only role that I've been like, yo, Aubrey
Yeah.
Plaza's kind of dope.
But that's pretty much her vibe in most things. Like the Scott Pilgrim
Yeah.
character she plays. where
Oh
she's just
yeah,
yelling
actually,
at
you know
Scott.
what? You're right. I do love her in Scott Pilgrim,
Yeah.
but
So
like that was also so long ago.
she's very typecast as that kind of character.
Yeah, but no, but usually I think I've seen her play like psychotic type of characters. So like her character on
Mm.
Legend of Korra, or isn't she also in what is that show called?
Legion?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
in. She's amazing.
For the
in this
one-
show.
Yeah, the one episode that I saw of Legion, like she's, you know, kind of crazy. Like those are the only times I've ever really seen Aubrey Plaza. And then I think she was in Dirty Grandpa with Zac Efron.
She was.
Yeah, so that's about it. Those are like the only things I've ever really seen her in. So Legend of Korra is the only thing that I was like, yeah, Aubrey Plaza, I love this. This is great.
Right, that makes sense.
But her in Happiest Season, I was like, yo, I want a sequel with more of your character. You're amazing in this movie, and I like your character in this movie. But everything about that movie, I love. I wouldn't say it's a corny Christmas rom-com. It's a Christmas rom-com for sure, though. And you know how it's going to play out. We talked about it in the review, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to just watch and sit back and relax and get into the Christmas spirit.
Yes, I agree.
Gabby, this was what number on your list? Number 9?
It was number 10.
Number 10? Oh yeah. Okay, we've skipped a couple of things, so it's like
number 10. Yeah. I feel like a lot of my list is going to get skipped around.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? I think that means we can move on to our number 7s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Number 7, Dallas, what you got?
My number 7 is The Kid Detective, which...
Ooh, what's this?
Right? I did not know what this movie was until one day. I was watching trailers, as I do, and I saw Adam Brody, and I was like, this is kind of funny. And then Kayla and I went to the drive-in and saw it, and she regrets it because, man, it got dark toward the end, but I loved it. It was written and directed by Evan Morgan, who I had never heard of. It stars Adam Brody, Wendy Crewson, and Sophie Nelisi. I'm sorry, I didn't look up how to say her name. It's about a once celebrated kid detective who is now 32, who continues to solve the same trivial mysteries between hangovers and bouts of self-pity, until a naive client brings him his first adult case to find out who brutally murdered her boyfriend. So it is, I guess, like, dark comedy is so perfect to describe this movie because it's so funny, but the subject matter is so dark. And even some of the plot points toward the end get really, 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 really dark. Adam Brody is fantastic. And I've never been a huge fan of his. Like, I've seen him and stuff here and there. Demi, was he the one who was in Shazam?
Yeah.
Yes, Adam Brody is in Shazam. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I've always seen him and be like, oh, yeah, dude's cool. But this is the first time that he's really, like, like, wow, that dude's great. Kind of like you with Aubrey Plaza in Happiest Season.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Exactly. But, man, there's a scene in this movie where he slaps this kid, a teenager.
Okay, because all I saw in my
Not a
head was
child.
that clip
I
from
saw
the
an
slap.
11-year-old child.
Not a child. Oh, yeah, not that, not that ridiculous. The slap. Oh, God. So the story, he's like, in his town, he has a reputation. When he was a kid, he was like a detective, kind of like Fillmore from the TV show. And he would
Nice, I
solve
love
cases.
Fillmore.
Yeah, it's great.
Or like the Mystery Squad? Mystery Team?
Is that the one with Donald Glover?
Yep. Have you seen it?
I actually haven't, ironically. I know, right?
You should watch it
I feel like-
after watching Kid Detective.
I would probably love it because, obviously, it's me and Donald Glover.
Yeah. It's like his very early comedy stuff. though,
Yeah, I always hear
But
about
there's
that.
a lot of like famous people in like that are now famous in the movie, and it's great. So I do recommend it. But that we're getting off topic.
You know, we do that. But to me, the reason I asked you recently if you saw it is because it is kind of like, has elements that remind me of Fillmore and then of Brick.
Yes,
And I know you
Brick.
like Ryan Johnson a lot, so I figured you would like this movie because it's kind of like Fillmore is kids and then Brick is like whatever age JGL is supposed to be in that movie, high school.
They were high schoolers.
Yeah, and then this is like taking that to its next logical conclusion when he's an adult. So he has this reputation of, oh, he's the kid detective, but then there was a case he couldn't solve, blah, 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 blah. He's sad now. And he's trying to help this girl, and he's walking up to these ne'er-do-wells, let's call them, who are the kind of kids who, you know, hang out in the back of the school, sell drugs, blah, blah, blah. And one of them just starts mocking him, and like he has had a day, so he just slaps the hell out of this boy. And oh my god, it was amazing. Kayla and I laughed so hard because Adam Brody like leaned his whole body into that slap. It was amazing. But yeah, I recommend watching this movie for that scene alone, but also for the rest of the movie. It's very good. But aside from the hilarity, there's some interesting stuff in this movie about like the expectations that people put on kids and the expectations that kids put on themselves. And then when you're not able to meet those expectations, like how that can affect you as an adult. Because
Ooh.
yeah, like the premise, it seems cute, like, oh, he's the kid detective, he's solving all the crimes and blah 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 blah. But then, you know, as a kid, once he hits that one that he really can't solve because he's a child, it's like all of these expectations come crashing down because he built himself up and everybody told him he was this and he was that. But it seems like no one really told him, hey, if you can't do this, that's okay too. Man, it hits.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, so you know, it gets dark. But it's really funny and it's really good. And Adam Brody's amazing. So that's my number 7.
So
Alrighty.
that's definitely a new one, definitely a unique one that none of us had heard of except for you. So
Yeah. Shout out to me watching random trailers on YouTube.
all right then, Gabby, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is King of Staten Island. Or sorry, The King of Staten Island.
Dang, I wanted to see that.
It's
I'm so upset that I never watched it.
Oh, you should. It's great. Okay, so it's starring Pete Davidson, Marissa Tomei, Bill Burr, Belle Powley, Maude Apatow, and Steve Buscemi. It's written by Judd Apatow, Pete Davidson, and Dave Cyrus. Directed by Judd Apatow. And it is about Scott, who has been a case of arrested development since his firefighter dad died. He spends his days smoking weed and dreaming of being a tattoo artist until events force him to grapple with his grief and take his first steps towards life. This movie would be higher on my list, I feel like, if they had just done up the drama a little bit more. I feel like they didn't take it as intensely as I feel like they could have. And so it fell a tiny bit short at the end there when I was like waiting for like kind of like a big emotional reckoning. There wasn't quite one. But other than that, like it was a really great movie. I really like Bill Burr as an actor, I'm realizing, between Mandalorian and this. He's done such a like really great job over the course of the last like couple years.
Shout out to Bill Burr.
Yeah, shout out to Bill
He's
Burr.
great.
And Pete Davidson like held this movie together. And for somebody that has like such a quote unquote like reputation of like a quote unquote like the general joke with Pete is he's just kind of like a millennial burnout, but like somebody that's a burnout can't come up with like comedy specials the way that he does and come up with or like write the kind of script that he wrote and hold a movie together the way that he did. So I feel like people are a little hard on him overall, but like he did a great job in this movie. It's semi autobiographical, and his character is actually named after his dad, who died in the September 11th attacks. So it's just kind of like him dealing with that grief on screen, and it was really, really good.
Speaking of it being, would you say semi-autobiographical?
Yeah,
Pete Davidson has Crohn's disease.
he does have Crohn's.
So
Yeah.
I saw a clip from this movie where his character has to explain what Crohn's disease is to someone. And at that moment, I was like, man, if I had seen this movie, it would definitely be on one of my favorite movies of the year.
Oh, yeah, he has Crohn's. That's why he used to smoke a lot of weed. I think it helped him with the Crohn's, but he had to stop doing that for various reasons.
That makes sense.
Um,
Also, for the audience who's wondering why I am so into Crohn's disease, I have it. So seeing that scene, I was like, oh man, I've been there, Pete. But then also, the movie just looked hilarious and had people in it that I love. But
it was really funny.
yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
It was really good. I highly recommend it.
Dope. All right, I guess that means it's my turn.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So my number 7 is Tenet, directed and written by Christopher Nolan, starring John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, Kenneth Branagh, Michael Caine, and Himesh Patel, and Aaron Taylor Johnson.
He's in it too?
He is. He shows
Sorry.
up about halfway through the film. Armed with only one word, Tenet, and fighting for the survival of the entire world, a protagonist journeys through a twilight world of international espionage on a mission that will unfold in something beyond real time. So I just watched this movie this morning, as a matter of fact.
For the
Holy
first time?
moly.
Yeah, for the
Wow.
first time. I really wanted to watch it before we did this list.
Makes sense.
And I did not regret my decision. Even it's like a 2.5-hour movie, which is why I was happy that we decided to record so late. I love a good time travel story, and this is definitely an interesting take on time travel. It's a very ambitious concept, which is probably why a lot of people didn't really understand the logic of it. I will be honest, it is not easy to understand the logic of it. I'm still trying to understand some of it myself, which is why I'm excited to watch it for a second time so I can kind of see if I can understand it more and see the things that I missed. The film really reassured me. Like, I was already very confident, but it very much reassured me that Robert Pattinson is going to make an amazing Bruce Wayne. He is so suave and charming in this movie. It's ridiculous. I love his character, Neil. He's so great. John David Washington continues to prove that he is also amazing and needs to do more stuff in Hollywood. I loved seeing him as the protagonist. He gave me like a lot of his dad vibes in this movie.
Nice.
Very
Ooh.
Denzel Washington type of leading man type of stuff, and that was pretty cool.
I have a question.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, now I have two questions. Question number
Yes.
1. I've heard his character doesn't have a name. Is that true?
His name is the protagonist.
Okay, that's what I heard. Question number 2. Does the protagonist make any guarantees in this movie?
The protagonist, I don't
Stop it
think
now.
I don't think the protagonist makes any guarantees in this movie.
So he can't really be just like his dad if he's not making guarantees.
I said he gave me his dad vibes. I didn't say
I
he was
know.
exactly like his dad.
I'm just like, I feel like if he did, he would definitely, like, bam, now you made a
But
kid.
you know what? It was a 2.5-hour movie, and I'm bad at remembering quotes. So, maybe he did make a guarantee and I missed it.
That's fair. He might have.
Ooh, something to look for.
He should start throwing him into his movies just like his dad.
Yeah. I thought that the first half of the movie was like really cool. I was like, all right, this is cool. This is really interesting to this like secret organization thing that we're doing right now. It's all right. But it's the second half that really makes the whole movie hit. Like, we got into the second half and I was like, ooh, okay, this is definitely what I'm here for. This is cool. This is great. Like I said, it's like, it's kind of difficult to understand because, it's time travel. And time travel is always really like,
Messy.
yeah, it's very messy. There's always questions about the logistics of how time travel works. Like, well, if you do this, wouldn't it do this? Well, if you do this, wouldn't it do this? Well, what about this? Why is this happening? Like, wouldn't this be happening at the same time? Like, those sorts of questions come up because it's a time travel movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the same thing happened with Endgame. Same thing would probably happen with Back to the Future, except Back to the Future is very, like, direct about its rules and how it works. But even then, occasionally I was able to, like, there were like 3 occasions during the movie where I was able to put the pieces together before the movie tells you what's going on. So I was really excited about that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an honorable mention last year on my most anticipated list. So I'm glad that I got to catch it before the year ended. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to watch it again. It's definitely going to be a movie that I buy. I typically like Christopher Nolan films. I was a little nervous about this one because there were so many mixed reviews about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did really enjoy it. Once I got to the second half of of the movie, I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is definitely something I'm into."
Nice.
Number 7 is Tenet. That takes us to number 6. Dallas, what you
Number
got?
6. Number 6 is Soul, which was number 9 on my most anticipated list.
And it was number 9 on my current list for for favorite movie of the year. As was it? It was also Gabby's number 9.
Yes.
It was.
We just did an episode on this, audience.
It's
And
literally our last episode.
Yeah.
that's true. So yeah, if you caught that, you probably caught on to the fact that I think I liked it the most, which was numerically proven by the fact that it's number 6 on my list.
You're right.
Yeah.
Directed by Pete Docter, who wrote and directed Monsters Inc., Up, and Inside Out. It was written by Pete Mike Jones, again, not the rapper, probably, and Kemp Jones, who writes for Star Trek Discovery, and he wrote the movie One Night in Miami that Regina King just
Oh.
directed, but I haven't seen it yet, which I'm planning
He's
to
also
see.
responsible for that Knicks joke in the movie.
Oh, that was amazing. I love that so much. But yes, starring Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Graham Norton, Angela Bassett, Felicia Rashad, Daveed Diggs, etc., etc., etc. Summary:
Good
a
movie.
musician who has lost his passion for music. Well, that's not
No.
what happened. Never mind. Forget IMDb and their stupid summary. Yeah, I love this movie. Tina Fey is always funny. Jamie Foxx continues to be a multi-talented Renaissance man. Because I had forgotten
very
that he had
true.
actually done voice work before. He was in Rio and Rio 2.
I didn't
He
know he had
was?
done voice work before, but it makes sense. Jamie Foxx is a very charismatic man, very talented
Yeah.
man, so it's not a surprise that you would be really good at doing voice work. Like, he's an animated person.
Right. And that's one of the
Yeah.
things that people often don't realize is that voice work is very different from live action acting. But of course, Jamie can do both because he's amazing.
The man had a sitcom. Like, I have faith in his ability to do an animated movie or show.
Yeah.
Yeah. But It was great to finally see Black people as the center of a Pixar movie, since Pixar has been making great movies since I was a toddler.
Yeah.
I really like the messages here, like some of the ones that they left me with, and they apply very well to our audience of existential millennials that we have going on now. But like one of the messages I really liked was the one about like live your life and enjoy the little things instead of being locked into one singular purpose and then
Yeah.
tying all your self-worth to be that one thing. There can't just be one single thing that you focus on in life because yeah, if you don't achieve that, then you can end up thinking that your life is meaningless and that's just not true. And also I thought an interesting part was that it shows how someone's sense of self-worth can color their interactions with people. Like the scene when we see 22's memory of all the people
Oh, who have been
yelling
mentoring
at
her
her.
and how that affected her.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really good scene. But then also when their memory gets to Joe and something that Joe said, it's a lot harsher in their memory because although Joe was like a little dismissive, he wasn't angry or volatile. But
Yeah.
since 22 has this image of themselves as less than, when the memory plays back, they remember it as him kind of degrading them. It translates well because I have friends and acquaintances, people I've talked to, who no matter how much you tell them, you're great, I love you, you're worth this, this, and this, they can just not feel that.
Yeah.
So things that you say to them, like, you know, maybe you'll make a joke or something like that, they'll take it and like
They'll internalize it.
exactly, regardless of how you intend it when you say it, when they hear it, it could be something completely different. So that scene was really powerful. And it's another one of the reasons I wish that I had watched the movie twice before we reviewed it. And I still have only seen it once, but I've been watching videos and stuff about it.
Yeah.
And it's just, man, the movie hits.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of relatable themes in it, and I thought it was just a great story in general. The animation felt really fresh and was like super good. It's an interesting metaphysical world that they've introduced us to. That's really interesting. We talked about it in the review, a nice look at Black culture, the barbershop and stuff like that.
I loved it.
But also, before we, move on to our next movie, I just want to say, let's stop having Black people turn into other creatures for 80% of the movies now. We're good.
Right?
Yeah.
It was part of the reason I wasn't gonna watch the movie.
It's like we're good
I
now,
was, like,
guys.
annoyed.
We've liked the ones that you've made, but you guys can stop now.
Okay, we'll see what Disney's next Black movie is and see if they can get it right. Not that they didn't get this one right. I loved it.
Yo, that Tiana TV show player, it better just be Tiana. She better not be no frog.
Right?
Oh man, we're gonna see how if she makes it out of the pilot as Tiana. She's gonna be a frog by the first
We'll
commercial break.
see.
I'll be so bad. There won't be a commercial break. It'll be on Disney Plus.
Yeah, no, it just like that joke doesn't really work for streaming.
It doesn't. It doesn't work. Gabby, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is The Sunlit Night. It stars Jenny Slate, Alex Sharp, and a few other actors whose names I can't pronounce because they are in, I believe, Icelandic. And it's directed by David Nent. I'm so sorry, David. I did not look up how to pronounce your last name. And it's about an aspiring painter meets eccentric locals and a fellow New Yorker while working on a barn in Norway. So I've been waiting for Sunlit Night to come out for a long time because I follow Jenny Slate on Instagram. And while she was filming this movie in Iceland, she just became like super romantic. And I was like, what is this movie that she's filming that she's just like coming out with like so many feelings? I just was very fascinated because she just seemed to be having some sort of like spiritual almost experience in like Iceland where she's filming this. I believe it's Iceland or Norway, somewhere very far north. Basically, I was just like watching for this movie to come out. It finally came out in July and it was on streaming. I guess it's kind of like an eat, pray, love kind of situation, minus the eat and pray,
Okay.
or like minus
What?
the eating part. Like she's having like a spiritual, like kind of coming of age, but more for an adult moment where like she's trying to figure out how she's going to fit as an artist because she wants to be a painter, but her last review at art school was like, this is very pedestrian, like what are you even doing? Then she gets dropped from her like internship that she's supposed to do to like graduate. She finds this job with this painter who nobody likes and who's very hard to work with, and he's already lost a couple of assistants. It's basically like she's basically doing paint by number on this barn. He's like assigned her sections and how to paint them and in what color. And she has to help him with it and basically ends up almost doing it by herself. The whole time she's also trying to take time for herself to paint on her own. And she's taking in this like landscape and this place that like the sun never sets because it's Iceland in the summer, or like Norway, somewhere very far north in the
It's
summer where the
Norway. I
sun
looked it
doesn't
up.
ever. Oh, it's Norway. Okay, sorry. It's Norway in the summer where the sun never actually sets. It's just like always on the horizon because of the way that the Earth's tilted, right? So she's just trying to like figure out life in this place, and like you kind of get why even the actress playing her felt some kind of way, right? Because it was like she was thrust in an incredibly uncomfortable position on the edge of the earth, working on something very difficult, and still managed to find like something worth it in all of it, right? And I think that's why I really liked the movie, because like I knew it had affected the actress that much, and there was just a little bit extra little depth to it. It's, I guess, kind of a feel good movie, kind of like a coming of age sort of deal, but like coming into more like adulthood age as opposed to like a teenager story. But it's really sweet and it's really good.
That's nice. We got to come of age too.
Yeah.
Great.
I think it's
Cool.
on
All
you
right.
to me.
Yeah, I guess
I'm sorry. I'm done.
Just kind of
I'm
stop.
so bad at my cues.
I'm like, oh, is that it? We're done? All right.
Yeah, that's it. We're
so
done. I'm sorry.
my number 6.
I'll finish.
I might get skipped. My number 6 is Bad Boys for Life.
You are getting skipped.
All right, I figured as much. All right, that means we're moving on to number 5, our top 5 people. Dallas, what you got?
Wow, 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 wow. Watch his be Bad Boys for Life.
Nah, didn't do that this time.
Okay.
My number 5 is Hamilton.
Skip.
Oh, skip.
Yeah, okay.
Gabby, what's your number 5?
Mine is gonna get skipped too. It's Birds of Prey.
Skip.
Yay!
All right, so my number 5 might get skipped. It might not though. Love and Monsters.
Skip.
Was that a skip?
That was a skip, yes.
Oh, okay. So we're now on
Wow,
number
that
4.
whole round.
We're now on number 4. Dallas, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Love and Monsters.
Now we've got it. There we go.
Yay!
I knew it was gonna happen at least once.
Always.
Yay.
It's always it's always me and you. It's always
Yeah. We be vibing. Yeah, Love and Monsters. Directed by Michael Matthews, who directed Five Fingers for Marseille. I don't know, it sounds French. And written by Brian Duffield, who wrote Jane Got a Gun and Underwater.
I have seen one of those.
You didn't see Underwater?
I didn't see Underwater. I want to.
Oh, also written by Matthew Robinson. I don't know what he's done. And starring Dylan O'Brien, Jessica Henwick, Michael Rooker, and Ariana Greenblatt. And is about Joel in a monster-infested world who learns that his girlfriend is just 85 miles away and makes a dangerous journey to, be with the girl of his dreams. It was surprisingly good to me.
It's amazing. It's great.
So good. I saw the trailer and I thought, that looks pretty cool. I like Dylan O'Brien. I like Michael Rooker. It seems like a fun enough time, but I didn't really want to go out of my way to see it.
So I didn't see the trailer before I watched the movie. I just heard really great things about it.
Was it for me?
From you, I think from Colin, and from the internet in general. I literally spent money to buy the movie, not rent it, off the strength of what everybody was saying about it. Plus Dylan O'Brien's in it.
Right.
And it was just so fun to watch it because I had no idea what the movie was about. I was just like, cool, I'm just going to watch this movie with Dylan O'Brien that has monsters in it. And and I'm going to hope that I really like it because I'm hearing great things. I was trying to explain it to somebody as I was watching the movie. And I was like, I'm probably not doing a good job explaining this because I have no idea what this movie's about. I'm just kind of watching it. But yeah, I really loved it. It was just a fun story, just a very dope original movie.
Yeah, it was something. It was refreshing. And in more ways than one, like one of the ways was it was such a nice change of pace to have a post-apocalyptic movie, but with so many lovable characters.
Yes.
Like,
I love
normally, it's
him.
just everyone is so cynical and angry and that, but, like, his whole little commune is so supportive and lovable. They're like, "Joel, we love you."
They wanna take care of him. They want him to be safe, which is why they protect him so much.
Yeah, it was so great because that first scene when he's like, "I wanna help," and, it kinda feels like he could have easily gone in the direction of, "No, Joe's the screw up, we don't want him to help," but it was, "No, we love Joel, but this
He
this
can't do
isn't
it.
really your lane." Yeah, like, "We want to protect you. This is why we're telling you not to go." And man, I loved so many of the supporting characters in this movie, especially, Minnow,
That's the
played
little
by
girl, right?
played by Ariana Greenblatt. She was so adorable. She just felt like a really authentic depiction of a kid at that age. She didn't feel like her character was written by out of touch adults, which happens so often with children. Yeah, they did it
Um,
really well.
yeah, I also just never get tired of seeing Dylan O'Brien or Jessica Henwick. I've been a fan of Dylan O'Brien since Teen Wolf, and Jessica Henwick was one of the best things about Iron Fist for me. So whenever she gets a new job doing something, I always get really happy and excited for her. I really liked their relationship in the movie because it didn't go like I thought. Like
Yeah, that was interesting.
it was almost disappointing, but also at the same time refreshing.
Yeah, it was very, like, it wasn't cliche. It wasn't a cliche movie situation, and it was handled very well on both sides,
Yes, it was.
which, man, I think that's part of the reason why I love this movie so much is just there's so many things that when you see them in a movie, they're typically
You know
like,
what
they
where
go
it's going.
right, they go in the most cliche or toxic or upsetting direction, and this was just not any of that, and it was just, man, so good,
Also, the
so good.
CGI was really good for like, it's basically an indie movie, but the CGI was really good.
Yeah, the monsters look great. Full disclosure, I saw this at the drive-in, so
Oh,
everything is, like, a little different when you see it at the drive-in. Even with that, it looked great. Some of the like, the creatures, the monsters were all fantastic. That giant crab with its kind eyes.
oh, yeah. I was thinking the frog. The frog is the first thing that came to mind.
Oh, man, that frog. That was terrifying.
Oh my goodness, it's so terrifying. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's just a really well done small movie, and it's just really enjoyable, and it feels very personal.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Dylan O'Brien and everyone
Yes.
else involved.
But yeah, that's Love and Monsters. If you guys haven't seen Love and Monsters, you should definitely check it out.
Gabby, have you seen Love and Monsters?
I have
I
not.
feel like you would definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I was like, ooh, right up my lane.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything that would, like, ruin you, like, in terms of, like, anxiety or emotion. It's just a really nice
Oh.
love story.
It's wholesome.
Yeah,
Oh.
wholesome. It's a good way to describe it. To me, Colin and I
Oh,
all
okay.
like this movie, and we are all
Wow.
very different people, especially Colin. But we
Yeah.
all very much enjoyed this movie, so I think we could get it across the board.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, but moving on to your number 4.
My number 4 is Hamilton.
Skip.
Hey, okay, to me, number 4.
Yeah, my number 4 is Black is King.
Ah, I forgot to watch that.
Yeah. Directed by Beyoncé, starring Beyoncé, and featuring all the other artists that were on the Gift album. I'm gonna make this really quick, because it's a visual album. So it's basically a movie that's several music videos that are tied together by a story. And I just thought that it was so beautifully shot. It's so colorful and so rich in texture and in culture. I thought it was a very wonderful reimagining of Lion King through music and visuals. And I just think that it's such a great film that's worthy of just checking out and just looking at everything and kinda just taking it all in. It reminded me of how great the music was on the Gift album that Beyoncé did for The Lion King.
It was good. It was good stuff.
Oh my goodness, I had forgotten, and then I was watching the film, and I was like, "This track bops. Wait, hold on, I forgot about this one. Wait, this is dope. Hold up, wait." It's so good.
Is it Disney Plus?
It is on Disney Plus. I would I we did a review on it too, so you guys can also check out my review. I think I went a little bit more in depth than I just did. But yeah, you should definitely check it out, Dallas. I'm surprised that it is taking you this long.
Yeah, I definitely forgot all about it after you talked about it.
It's amazing. It's fantastic, and the visuals are sick.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, that's my number 4, Black is King. So that takes us to our top 3, guys.
Fwah, fwah, fwah.
Hey.
All right, what's number 3 for you, Dallas?
Number 3, gonna get into my indie bag, which I guess is indie. It's like a Netflix movie, and Netflix is a big company, but it's not like, a major movie studio. Doesn't matter. Number 3 is the 40-year-old version. 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 There's a lot of confusion every time I tell somebody the name of this movie. Now, the theme of this year is movies I came across randomly watching trailers on YouTube. But it is written and directed by Rada Blank, aka Rada Miss Prime, which is her stage name, which is amazing.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. It stars Rada, Oswin Benjamin, Peter Kim, and some other people. It is semi-autobiographical. Summary is Rada is a down on her luck New York playwright who is desperate for a breakthrough before 40. Reinventing herself as rapper, Rada Miss Prime, she moves between the worlds of hip hop and theater in order to find her true voice. First off, when I was watching Soul, whenever that was, Christmas, I thought about this movie because of the way it starts. She's a teacher in New York, the same way that Joe is, and she's using her passion to teach, but she really wants to create with it. Personally, I've never been a teacher, but like I can relate to that kind of creative passion that you're not really letting out in the way that you want to. Man, Rada is I had never seen or heard of her before this movie, but she's hilarious as a writer, an actress, a director, especially since I think this is her feature debut.
Yeah,
So,
that probably sounds about right.
yeah, so like first time she directed, she wrote it, she stars in it, and it's amazing. I might be slightly biased because I'm always here for the movies that are tied to hip hop, like narratively or behind the scenes. And this one is both, since she plays a fictionalized version of herself, complete with the stage name Rodimus Prime, which I can't say enough because it's so good. And it's just, it feels really authentic. You can feel like the creativity and the passion that goes into it. She's good at rapping, which is a nice bonus for me. And she has this really nice supporting cast. Like her students play a big part in the movie. For the most part, they like really care for and support her. Like when they find out that, you know, she's going to try to be a rapper and she has a show, they're like, "What? You got to let us go to the show. We're so happy. We want to see you." She's like, "Nah, back up."
No, y'all can't go.
Right. But I love the support system that she has. Even though one of the students, it seems like he wants to pipe her, which I can't really condone.
I
'Cause-
mean, as long as
Yeah.
she doesn't want to back, that's fine.
Yeah. We all had teachers. No, actually, I didn't.
Okay.
But, you
Know where
know,
that was going. But
we've all,
yeah,
you know,
he was wilding.
someone. Yeah.
But it's also, I can't tell if this is like a junior college class or a high school class because some of them look younger. That dude definitely looks older. It was weird. He was wilding. But that's another thing that I like is that the representation in this movie is such that she is, you know, pushing 40 and plus size. She's not the type that you think most studios would go for like the object of like lust and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, like never.
Mhm.
Like only Queen Latifah, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's good to see, like, obviously, you know, not everyone who has an active sex life and love life looks like Scarlett Johansson or
Yeah, we all look different.
exactly. So it's nice to see that representation as well. But yeah, I recommend the movie. It's on Netflix. It is completely in black and white. Like it looks kind of
Really
inspired by Spike Lee style.
interesting. That's cool.
Yeah. So if you like Spike Lee movies and or hip hop and, you know, not black comedy like dark comedy, black comedy like black people, I recommend it. That's my number 3.
Dope. Gabby, what do you have for
Yay.
your number 3?
My number 3 is Enola Holmes.
Oh yay! That's great because that was on my list until this morning.
Oh.
So I still get
Because
to
of Tenet.
Yeah, it was because of Tenet. So I still get to talk about it.
Enola Holmes was so delightful.
It was indeed. It's just a wholesome, good
Oh.
time.
Yeah, and we got to see Bay, you know, as a big
Ugh,
brother.
I need
Um,
I need a spin-off Henry Cavill Sherlock Holmes film, please and thank you.
right? Or just like more Enola Holmes with him in it. Like
That too. I want all of the things. Give me everything. Whatever you can provide.
so handsome. She's so great. Millie Bobby Brown really, really like carried the crap out of that movie. I talked about I don't know if you talked about it or we talked about it.
I think we talked
together.
about it I think we have an episode about it on the podcast.
Yeah, so like amazing movie, great time. Can't say enough things about it, but since we already talked about it, I guess we can like skedaddle it on.
Well, I do
But
want to
it was
just
really good.
restate, like, yeah, it's a great story. Millie Bobby Brown is amazing, as you said. It's nice to see her playing a character that is not 11. And I don't mean
Yeah.
age, I mean the character name 11. Uh,
Glad you clarified that.
yeah. she's amazing. And when the movie ended, I was really excited about the idea of there being a sequel because it was just a wholesome, good time. In my opinion, I thought it was a pretty clever film. I thought the writing was pretty clever. She does a great job with her fourth wall breaking,
Yeah.
which we've talked about a number of times on the show about how charismatic and charming you have to be for that to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was great. It was a great film and just something that you can put on for 2 hours and just really enjoy your time and enjoy yourself.
I agree.
Just a good time. I'm
Alright.
kind of sad that I deleted all my notes for it, but
Aw.
I think that's the bare basics of what I had on my notes anyway.
Yeah, it was one of the fewest like new movies that I saw more than once. Like I just kept watching that one, and my top 3 movies I've watched several times. Actually my top 4. But yeah, great movie. Great time. So exciting.
Great. Okay, so I guess that takes us to me for my number 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
My number 3 is The Old Guard, directed by Gina Prince Bythewood, written by Greg Rucka and starring Charlize Theron, Kiki Lane, Matthias Schoenaert, Marwan Kenzari, Luca Marinelli, and Chiwetel Ejiofor. The movie's about
That was this year?
That was indeed this year. A covert team of immortal mercenaries is suddenly exposed and must now fight to keep their identity a secret just as an unexpected new member is discovered. So, first off, I love this movie for the interesting story that it's got.
Yeah.
Since high school, I have wanted to write something about an immortal soldier. And when I saw this trailer for this film, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's like everything I've wanted to write something like that for years now." And I didn't know that there was already it's based on a graphic novel, also written by Greg Rucka. So I didn't realize that it was something that already existed. So watching the movie, I was like, yeah, this just satisfies like my desire for a story like this. It's just so interesting and so cool. This movie definitely delivered on that. The cast is amazing. Charlize Theron is an action icon at this point. I love the fact that the lead character, aside from Charlize Theron's character, is a young black woman. You know, that's so very rare, especially in action movies. I loved the entire squad of soldiers. They're also very interesting. This movie probably has one of the greatest love declarations in all of cinema. Oh my gosh, I love that declaration. It's got amazing action to the point that I was so disappointed that I was kind of disappointed it was a Netflix film and not something that I could have seen in theaters because I would have really have loved to have seen the action in theaters because it was so good.
This did seem like one that would be very good for theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
it would have been so great. I was just so after watching it, I was just like, oh, I wish I could have seen some of these action sequences in a big movie theater. Gina Prince Bythewood did such a fantastic job with the directing. I've seen a number of her films before. I mean, I've known about her for years because she's a black woman director. You know, usually black women don't get to direct action films, and boy, was she amazing at directing this film. So I hope if they do a sequel, and they should do a sequel, it was one of like the most watched movies Netflix has ever produced. I hope that she gets to direct the sequel because it was amazing. I watched it twice within the first 2 days that they put it down on Netflix.
Sounds like you.
It depends. Some movies I won't, but with something like that, like I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is great.
Yeah.
I was saying, yeah, it sounds like you for like what this movie was. It seemed like a movie that Demi would watch twice in a couple of days.
Yeah, some movies are worth that for me. So good. Check it out. It's on Netflix. I love
Also,
it.
the ending looks like there's going to be a sequel.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
ended on a cliffhanger. So that's another reason why I really want a sequel.
Which I definitely have some questions about that character that shows up to the end.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool.
Oh my gosh. I definitely want to see where that storyline goes. I mean, I guess I could read the graphic novels if I really wanted to know. But
True.
but I am really interested in watching a movie form of it. So yeah, that's my number 3, The Old Guard. That takes us to our number 2.
Number 2.
We have run through this much faster than we usually do.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, let me not, I shouldn't jinx it because we're still on number 2. Who knows how long
Number-
it'll take us to get through these
Top
last
2 are
two.
going to take 50 minutes.
An hour, 1 hour later.
Exactly.
I regret what I said.
Anyway, number 2 is Bad Boys, Bad Boys.
What you
What you
gonna
gonna
do?
do
What you gonna do?
when they come for you? Bad Boys for Life is my number 2. It was number 3 on my most anticipated list. So
I believe
Wow.
it was on my honorable mentions list last year for most anticipated.
I scooped that up. directed by Adil and Bilal, and written by Chris Bremner, Peter Craig, and Joe Carnahan. Peter wrote The Town and the Hunger Games Mockingjay movies, and Joe was the director and writer of Smoking Aces and The A-Team. Which, funny story,
wow.
I had not seen Smoking Aces the first time we reviewed this movie, and since then I have seen it and I liked it very much.
Nice.
But yeah, stars Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Paula Nunez, Vanessa Hudgens, Alexander Ludwig, Charles Melton, Kate Del Castillo, and a bunch of other people.
Jacob Scipio.
Yes, he's a
Woo.
bunch of other people. And yeah, Miami detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett must face off against a mother and son pair of drug lords who wreak vengeful havoc on their city. As I just said, we have a review for this episode. It is one of the first movies I saw this year because it came out in January.
I want to say it was the first movie that we saw of the year.
I think so.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's
I think it's our
Yeah,
first
I know
review
it-
of this year.
yeah, it's like the first thing we did after the recaps. Look at that. Full circle. I love Bad Boys. The first two movies were great. I love Will Smith, as you know, if you've listened to this podcast before. Will and Martin still got it. Their chemistry is still perfect. They're still hilarious. They're good when the drama is necessary. Martin doesn't get a whole lot of dramatic moments in this movie, but Will does, and he plays them really well.
I really appreciated the fact that Mike Lowry actually got kind of a character arc this time around.
Yeah.
The first two movies, he's always just kind of cool, and I feel like Martin got the storylines for the character growth in the first two movies, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like this
I
third
agree.
movie gave Will Smith his chance to really shine as Mike Lowry in more than just this cool cop sort of thing. Like, no, this time he actually has like personal issues that he has to confront and face himself.
Got some real issues to deal with in this one.
Yeah, he had to get in his feelings. God, this was during the theater era of 2020, and it was just so much fun getting to see this movie in theaters.
Yeah.
I think I saw it twice in theaters because I think I saw it once by well, I think I went with you guys, but I sat by myself, and then I saw it with my mom because my mom is a huge Will Smith and Bad Boys fan. So I think I took my mom and my brother the second time, and just it was so good both times.
That's really funny because I saw it with you guys and then I saw it again with my dad because I take him to see all the black movies.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, you know.
But yeah, I thought the action was sick. It still had that same visual style as the first two, except a little lighter on the blue and orange tones. Even though it was new directors on this one, I thought the new directors did a great job with this one. I hope that they come back for the sequel. I also cannot wait for a sequel because I did really enjoy the new characters that they brought into the film. I did really love Ammo. I did enjoy Jacob Scipio's character. Thank you to whoever brought Jacob Scipio into my life. Because Lord have mercy, that man is
He's so
beautiful.
good
Oh
looking.
my God. Every time he would come up on screen, I was just like, yes, Jesus, thank you. Thank you for this.
It's funny.
And for somebody that's playing, he looks a lot like, but not so much. I don't know. It works? Question mark?
Ugh,
I don't know. It's just great.
it was just so
I don't
good
see
looking.
any resemblance.
I see it only sometimes,
Okay.
but like it was there when it needed to be, if that makes sense. Like when he was just some stranger, I was like, who's this? And then when it was like, he's, I was like, I can vaguely see it.
Are we cool with spoilers on this one? It is a year-end review. Like it's
Yeah, but nah.
Okay.
okay. But I see what you're saying, Gabby.
Right.
Yes, you are correct. You know what we'll do? We'll censor it.
That was always fun.
Gabby's the only one getting beeped ever.
Yeah, because you be saying some wild stuff.
I'm sorry.
Well, we
Talking
also
about-
didn't establish ground rules before we started this. But anyway, continuing. Yeah, Bad Boys for Life. That was great. I had so much fun.
It was super fun. Now it's one of my favorite trilogies, which is wild because
And he married a witch.
Oh, witch! Would you have
Oh,
sex with a
man.
witch?
without a condom.
Ooh, poor life choices, man.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, Adil and Bilal are great.
I think they're going to be directing a couple episodes of Ms. Marvel.
I was like, what is the thing that they're working on? It's Miss Marvel, which sounds dope. They also apparently directed a couple episodes of Snowfall, which is a show I recently started watching, and it's great. So they have
What is that about?
crack.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's about the crack in the LA in the 80s. Very good show.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, Adil and Bilal. So they have my confidence. Shout out to those guys. And that's my number 2. Moving on.
Gabby, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Palm Springs.
Hey, it's a good one.
Woo.
So the reason Palm Springs is my number 2 is because Andy Samberg as a romantic lead is not something that I knew that I needed, okay? Until this movie. Well, other than like Jake Peralta, but like Jake Peralta is more like a comedy lead with like some side romance. This is just like, this dude and this girl probably going to fall in love, and I love it. I'm here for it. But just so everybody knows, uh um, so Palm Springs stars Andy Samberg, Kristen Milioti, Peter Gallagher, J.K. Simmons. It's directed by Max Barbacow with the screenplay by Andy Ciara. And the description is when carefree Niles and reluctant maid of honor Sarah have a chance encounter at a Palm Springs wedding, things get complicated as they are unable to escape the venue, themselves, or each other. Which, yeah, it's one of those, Groundhog Day situation movies. What I liked also about it, other than, Andy Samberg as a romantic lead, was that I've seen Groundhog Day movies before, and this one has such a twist. And I like that they're like trapped at like a destination wedding. I think that part's hilarious.
Yeah, they had some good gags with that.
Oh, it's so good. And it's just, I didn't realize how good this movie was going to be. I was just excited to watch it because I love The Lonely Island, and anything that they make, I will watch. But God, this movie had so much heart. It made me cry. It had me rooting for people. And like, it was just such an interesting take on a trope that everybody knows so well. That's why Palm Springs is one of my top 2 favorite movies of this year. And I have watched it like over and over again. It's so good.
Yeah, it's great. And shout out J.K. Simmons because he's amazing in that movie.
Oh, he's fan-freaking-tastic.
Ah, he was so good. Man, that's a really funny movie. It's funny because Kayla and I saw that at the drive-in, but we were very late, so we missed a good
no.
amount of it. But it's a Hulu movie, so we just came home and watched it again on Hulu so we could see the beginning.
That's great.
So it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
Yeah.
Also,
really good.
Gabby, since you have seen Sherman Showcase, I gotta
Yes.
tell you, every time I see or hear something about Palm Springs, the song Time Loop plays in my head from Sherman Showcase.
Yes. That's so great.
It's just like they're like intertwined. Like I see the picture and I just hear time loop, time loop. It's like I can't stop it.
That's amazing.
It's so good.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm glad that happens.
Same.
Because it's perfect.
It is.
Because they are in a time loop.
Right. And it's a romance. It's so great. It's so perfect.
Ugh. Okay. Yeah. So that's Palm Springs.
To me.
All right. So my number 2 is Hamilton, directed by Thomas Kail, written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, starring Lin-Manuel Miranda, Leslie Odom Jr., Philippa Sue, Renee Elise Goldsberry, David Diggs, Jonathan Groff, Chris Jackson, Jasmine Cephas Jones, Anthony Ramos, and Okiriet Anodoan. I hope I pronounced his last name correct. Actually, I hope I pronounced his whole name correctly.
You read the whole playbill.
Freaking
Oh,
tastic.
I didn't read. I mean, I didn't read everybody. I could have read the ensemble too, but I didn't. But yeah, it's my number 2 because it's Hamilton.
Yeah.
I know some people might be
Let's
like,
talk about it.
yeah, some people might be like, that doesn't count as a movie, but I'm counting it as sort of as a documentary. It's the same as when you go see concert movies. Like, those are still movies, even though they're just recordings of concerts. Like, you had to take in the time to do camera placement and stuff like that, which, by the way, I do love the way that this is shot. I love that it's a stage play, but they made it cinematic.
Yeah. Also, it was going to have a theatrical release, so
it was indeed.
I feel like it totally counts.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Gabby, where was this on your list?
This was number 4 on my list.
Okay, cool. Cool. Proceed.
Me and Gabby have seen it live on stage, actually.
Yeah.
Even though I had seen it live on stage, it was still really cool getting to see the OG cast performing it on stage.
Yes.
For years, we knew that there was a professional recording of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It was just about biding time and waiting for them to finally release it. And Disney got the rights and did. So thank you, Disney, for that. But yeah, it's a fantastic show. And for years, I think people who had never seen it were wondering why people were so obsessed with the show. And I think if you watch it on Disney Plus, you can understand why. The music's really great. The writing is really great. The dancing, the choreography, the lighting, it's all so well done. and now it's just put on film, and it's phenomenal. And it also made me a lot more excited to see Ariana DeBose, who plays the Bullet in the play in West Side Story, and she's currently on
Yeah,
Netflix's The Prom.
she's dope.
Ooh, time to check her out.
But yeah, I'm more excited to see her in West Side Story now. As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh my goodness, wait, it's Ariana DeBose. I know who she is. But Hamilton is so good, and I think I watched it several times since it came out within that first month of it being out. I definitely watched it 4th of July. Like, there's no better day.
Oh yeah, there is no better day.
I think it was like the 4th or 5th anniversary of me listening to the soundtrack for the first time. So
Was that when we all watched it
Wow.
in the yard?
no, we watched it like the
Um,
day or two before 4th of July.
Got you. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's great. It's good stuff. David is a treasure.
David is always a pleasure.
I love him.
But that's my number 2. So that takes us into number 1, guys. But before we go and to list off our number 1s, I do have Colin's top 10 movies of 2020. So I'm going to read them off before we go through ours. Let's do this. Number 10, Onward. Number 9, Love and Monsters. Number 8, Sonic the Hedgehog. Number 7, Another Round. Number 6, Over the Moon. Number 5, Birds of Prey. Number 4, The Vast of Night. Number 3, Yes, God, Yes. Number 2, The Half of It. And number 1, His House.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Colin.
I know a lot of those movies. I wish he'd been here.
He did say that he really liked His House.
I am mad at Colin because he had a horror movie at number 1 and isn't here to talk to me about it. And I never thought that that would happen.
It's what
So,
happened.
Colin, if you're listening, we're running fades.
You a hoe, Colin. I'm just kidding. I love you, Colin. I love you forever.
You a hoe, Colin. I'm not kidding, and I love you forever.
All right, guys, that takes us to our number 1s. Dallas, what is yours?
Number 1 is The Gentleman.
Ah, yeah.
Woo! I'm so glad we get to talk about
Yes,
it.
man, this movie. Also one of the first movies I saw this year. And it completely surprised me. Sorry, let me give the credits and such. It was written and directed by Guy Ritchie. You know who Guy Ritchie is. Aladdin, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Snatch. Stars Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, Hugh Grant, Colin Farrell, Michelle Dockery, Bugsy Malone, a bunch of other people. It's about an American drug dealer who's trying to sell off his empire in London. But niggas are scheming, basically. Like I was saying, this movie completely surprised me because I saw the trailer and I was like, is that Hugh Grant? What the hell?
Right? Right? That's what I was going to say. I was like, I've never seen him like this. He was almost unrecognizable.
The funny
Very
thing
much
is,
so.
I think I was the one who was most excited about this movie coming out.
You were. It was on your most anticipated last year. I think
It
it's
was my
mention.
honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I like Guy Ritchie. I love Charlie Hunnam. And I liked a lot of the guys in the cast. So Henry Golding was in it. So, I was very excited about the cast, and I like Guy Ritchie. So I was like, cool. All right. Yeah, I'm excited for this. So I was the most excited person. So it's really funny that it's your number 1 this year.
Yo, it's so crazy because, I came in, I wasn't excited about it, but I was interested enough. And at that time, we saw movies for free. I watched
Yeah,
it.
we went
I've
together.
seen this movie. Yeah. I've seen this movie 4 times, maybe. I think I saw it in theaters 3 times, and then I saw it on Apple TV or Prime or something that it was on because I just don't get tired of it. It's so good. And it has so many moving parts because the cast is amazing.
The best music video of the year in the
Yo.
middle of it.
Boxes of Butch by Bugsy Malone is so fire.
I should have put that on my music list.
Yeah.
Yo, same.
All buzz, no
And
dust.
It's so good.
Ah, it's so
And
good.
one of my favorite things about that is that it works like diegetically and narratively. There's a reason for that music video to be in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's just so good. Oh, man.
Cleaning up after that theater after every movie for The Gentleman was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I would have run to get to the credits to hear that song. But it's so good. And it's another movie that we already have a review for, so you can hear our thoughts on it. But I just got to say, Matthew McConaughey, Colin Farrell, y'all, man, you're going to see when we do our actors list. They're both on it because I love them so much. It's such a good movie. I could talk about this movie forever, but I won't because we're trying to make this a quick episode relative to favorite movie episodes in the past. Just know it's dope and I love pretty much everything about it.
Gabby, what is your number 1?
My number one should be no surprise to anybody. It's Emma.
Oh yeah,
I keep
Emma was
forgetting
last year.
that was Huh.
That was this year, yeah. Emma was actually on my most anticipated list last year. It was my number 4. Emma, it's just I didn't think we could get more adaptations of like Jane Austen books that I'd already seen that would give me a new perspective, but this one was freaking fracking great. First of all, the tone was comedic the entire time, which I felt like was a great reflection of like Jane Austen's tone when you're reading the books. And the colors in the costumes were also super bright and pastel and like beautiful and like amazing to look at. This is probably one of the most historically accurate versions of like an Jane Austen interpretation I've seen with in terms of the hair. Like they did the ugly 1890s hair, and I love that they did, or like 1790s hair. Love that they did it. The ugly center parts, the ridiculous coils on the side of the head. Ugh, yes, I live for it. Let me just get the credits out of the way. It's starring Anya Taylor-Joy, Johnny Flynn, Josh O'Connor, Callum Turner, Mia Goth, Miranda Hart, and Bill Nighy. Based on Emma by Jane Austen, directed by Autumn de Wilde, and screenplay by Eleanor Catton. This movie was hilarious. It was like romantic where it needed to be, and it was like oddly modern, all things considered. God, I could not get enough of it. Like my mom and I rented it to like the $20 rental at least 3 times, and I watched it with my mom as many times, and now it's on HBO Max, and I'm about to watch it. So like it was a movie I couldn't stop watching all year. It was just like perfect and beautiful and amazing everywhere where it needed to be. And I love it. And it was like one of the best versions of Emma that I've ever seen portrayed. I think my second best version is Clueless. That's like the second best Emma ever.
Okay, cool. I was gonna ask if this is a story that was adapted to make Clueless.
Yeah, this was Clueless. And I think between the two, like this Emma and Clueless are the best interpretations of it ever, in my opinion.
Dope.
This movie's so great, and it made me so happy. And if you like period pieces that have come out in if you want a recommendation, my top 2 are this Emma movie and Bridgerton. Bridgerton is freaking fracking fantastic. That's all I have to say.
Dope. To me,
All
finish
right.
this off.
Time for me to close this out, and it should be no surprise that my number 1 is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, directed by Kathy Yan, written by Christina Hodson, starring Margot Robbie, Jurnee Smollett, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Rosie Perez, Ella J. Bosco, Ewan McGregor, and Chris Messina. A twisted tale told by Harley Quinn herself when Gotham's most nefarious and narcissistic villain, Roman Sionis, and his zealous right-hand man, Zaz, put a target on a young girl named Cass. The city is turned upside down looking for her. Harley, Huntress, Black Canary, and Renee Montoya's paths collide, and the unlikely foursome have no choice but to team up to take Roman down. We have a review for this. It's one of the last few movies I saw in theaters before we went into a quarantine, and yes, it's still my number 1 movie. I watched it twice within the first 24 hours it was even out. Actually, me and Colin both did, because we went that Thursday night and then we woke up Friday morning to go see it again.
Goodness.
So more like within 12 hours.
So good.
So good. Just great action. It's got characters that I absolutely adore in it. I mean, it has my favorite DC Comics character in it, Black Canary, as I've said many times on this podcast, and she is done perfectly and so accurately, which is enough for me. There are great performances by all of the actors who are in the movie. Ewan McGregor is definitely enjoying his time playing Roman Sionis and is very disturbing and uncomfortable, especially in one scene in particular. There's a lot of personal stakes in the film that I think really work. It's pretty unique framing for a superhero film. Most of them are pretty linear. This one is not, because it is told from the perspective of Harley Quinn. And because Harley Quinn is insane, it does not necessarily go the way that you think it should go, which I grew to love the more and more that I watched it. I grew to love the fact that it was edited and filmed and told in a way that felt very much Harley Quinn. It's wonderfully shot. I love all the colors, how vibrant it is. I think that it gives a really different perspective of Gotham, because Gotham is a city that we usually see at night, or is very noir or very just dark in general because Batman. But with a character like Harley Quinn, you can see how vibrant Gotham can really be and what it's like in the daytime. And, the sun's out. What are you up to in Gotham? Why do you guys live in this horrible, horrible city instead of moving?
Good question.
Exactly. Every time I see something with Batman involved, I'm like, why don't you move? Like, Gotham is awful. The crime rate must be ridiculous.
Sometimes people can't move.
I guess so. But yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it more with every viewing that I see of it. It was number 2 on my most anticipated list last year. And so it's number 1 on my favorite movies this year. I'm super happy about it. Super stoked. I loved that movie and I cannot say enough about it, to be honest, but I'm not going to. You guys can check out our review or you guys can just check out the movie for yourself because it's awesome.
Yep. Good movie.
Yay!
We did it.
Yeah, that ends our favorite movies of 2020, guys. We hope that you guys will join us for the rest of this week. We will be doing a recap of our favorite TV shows, our favorite actors, favorite music artists, and we're going to be looking into our most anticipated movies for 2021, looking into the rest of this year. Hopefully, for the love of God, please.
Yes, Colin won't be here for any of that because he's a hoe. Anyway, thank you, audience, for listening to all of that. Thank you, Crown Digital, Brandon, and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. To me, as always, thank you for editing, and thank you for vibing with me because we had a lot of overlap, and I got to do that one thing where I skip you and then say the movie immediately.
Yep, it's always a good
That's
time.
always fun. Oh, yeah. Gabby, thank you for staying on brand with the Jane Austen and the rom-coms.
You're
I can
welcome.
count on you for that.
Our audience would never get any recommendations for those.
Oh, that's definitely
Right.
true. Audience, if you want to talk to us about British gangsters, superheroes, Jane Austen, etc., you can find us on the medias, Twitter, y'all_different, Instagram and Tumblr, Creative Differences Podcast, or Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to talk to me about how dope the gentleman is, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at a king named Simba.
If you want to talk to me, Gabby, about how awesome Bridgerton is, hit me up on Instagram at Stegosaurus.
Hey guys, if you guys just want to talk to me about movies in general, but specifically the ones on this list that I just made, you guys can talk to me on Instagram or Twitter at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI. Thanks again for joining us. Hope to see you guys tomorrow.
And you can find Colin on Twitter at Thotimus Prime. THOTIMUS Prime.
Yes.
Have yourself a happy new year.
Yes, it's been different.
Happy New Year.
Bye.